So hi, what are we doing today? Well, it's December patch and there's a lot of balance changes. I'm going to do this now because, well, I started recording another video and there's been a number of sweeping changes. I feel like the game is like properly fluid right now, but important things to notice. This is unedited, re-recorded, so if I mess up, I just keep going, or if I fall over my words, then I land on my face and I keep going anyway. Basically, keep going. So that's an intro. That's an intro that I'm sticking to. And if you've seen these before, basically what I like to do is have the patch notes on the left. I've also got the build editor on the right, which doesn't get updated for a few days. So you can see like the old versions at a glance. And I have the wiki for when I inevitably don't know what a skill is and I have to search for it. So Elementalist. Diving right in here, we have Dragon's Tooth. The casting time of the skill has been reduced from 1.25 seconds to a little over 0.75 seconds. Okay, nice little increase there. Big diff. I'm just kidding, just probably a little difference. Phoenix now applies 1 stack of burning. Okay, bit of love to Condi Ellie, because the skill was always a bit of a dud in Condi Ellie. So okay, Ice Spike. Where's Ice Spike? Dagger skill? I'll be honest, that's why we have this window. So it's a staff skill. Of course it is, that's why I don't recognize it. Ice Spike. Drop a giant Ice Spike on foes to make them vulnerable. Now strikes first before applying vulnerability. Why did I bother to look that up? Moving on. We have Riptide, fixed a bug. Okay, we're going to gloss over the fixed bug ones because I'm more interested in the balance changes. So, Overload Water, Overload Earth, and Overload Fire. Ooh, some Tempest love. Let's whack this in here just for purposes. So, this skill applies Vigor for 5 seconds upon completion. The number of targets this skill affects has been increased from 5 to 10. Ooh. Right, okay, so that heal over 10 people, that's pretty strong. That's pretty strong healing. I really hope Ellie heal becomes a thing at some point, but I doubt it. Anyway, moving on, Overload Earth. The number of targets this skill affects has been increased from 5 to 10, so what did Overload Earth do? It was like, it does prot and stab. You know, these aren't bad changes. I like these changes. To be honest, when anything goes from 5 to 10, I like it. I like it. It just does good. It's good stuff. Overload Fire, fixed a bug. We don't care about bugs. Arcane Precision. The burning duration of the skill has been increased from 1 to 1.5, so more love for the Burninator. Ether Renewal. This skill now removes conditions before each pulse. As I recall, that's this one. Heal yourself and cure a condition with every pulse. Before each healing pulse. Engineer. So, first of all, we have Tossed Elixir U. This skill no longer gives quickness to allies. Instead, gives them super speed for 3 seconds. Okay, definitely a PvP change. As I said, not particularly interested in PvP, but I like that change in general. I wish that elixirs were better, but they're not, so, you know, I shall have to change my Christmas wish this year. Cleansing Burst. The skill's description has been updated to clarify that it removes conditions before it heals. Oh my god. What does that... What does that mean? Hang on. I think it's... Cleansing Burst, yeah. Overcharge your healing turret, supplying a burst of healing that cures 2 conditions. Okay, so they're doing the same thing they did with Ellie, where they just want to make sure that the condition removal is instant. Again, probably leaning towards PvP, but it gives you a better feeling in PvE as well, so... I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Expert Examination. The vulnerability and weakness this trait applies upon disabling an enemy will now occur when gyros! Every time ArenaNet buffs Scrapper, like, somewhere a puppy is born. I love Scrapper. I do, and I hate that I can't use it in PvE. Well, I can use it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not very good in PvE. because I absolutely love it. And I've already noticed Impact Savant. That's also a scrapper trait, if I'm not mistaken. This trait now grants 5% bonus damage when Engineer is under the effects of Barrier, in addition to... but you're not really going to... Unless there's other ways to give yourself Barrier. No, it's been a while since I've looked at Scrapper, so let's have a look, see where it is. So, Impact Savant. Where is it? It's there. So, barriers receive are 15% stronger. But is there something in here that gives you a barrier? Yeah, using your heal skill gives you a barrier. Okay, so there's that. Of course, yeah, if you're playing with a bunch of... You know, I'm really stretching it. I really want Scrapper to be good. I don't know if you can hear in my voice. But anyway, final salvo. More Scrapper stuff. Okay, so this trait has... Yeah, it's not... You know, none of this, you know, sort of stopping in the middle of my sentence before I finish a thought. None of this really is that great, right? Yay, 5% damage. Give me 15 there. You know, it might actually do something. Final salvo. This trait has been renamed Kinetic Stabilizers. Wow. Okay, so... Alright, okay, here we go. Kinetic Stabilizers. This trait grants 5 seconds of stability. Okay, 3 seconds of PvP. I don't care. Don't care about that. And 3 seconds of super speed upon disabling an enemy or activating function gyro. Oh. It also deals 10% bonus damage when the engineer has stability. Wait. Does the engineer deal 10% extra, or does the... I'm struggling to unword this. Kinetic Stabilizers. This trait grants 5 seconds of stability. So it's a trait... Well, let's find Kinetic Stabilizers first. Well, it was called Final Salvo, so let's find Final Salvo. It's here. Activating a gyro grants stability to you and the gyro. So... It doesn't do any damage. Apparently now it does do damage. Okay. I mean, I really hope that this is just a flat 10% damage while the engineer has stab, because that's something you can work around. I like that. I like that. Okay, moving on. Static Discharge. The critical damage of this trait has been increased by 100%, so that's... where is it? It's not there. Don't be ridiculous. Where is it? It's in Tools. Actually, you know what? Let's just make this easy by looking for it. Yeah, it was in Tools. Trust yourself, Mike. Trust yourself. Right. Discharge a bolt of lightning when you use a tool belt skill. Okay, so that's the thing that kind of makes damage sense. Or it was bugged for a long time. I don't know if they fixed that bug because I kind of stopped playing engineer around, or you know, this tools line around the sort of time they fixed that. So I don't know. Its critical damage of this trait has been increased by 100%. Its base damage reduced by 50. Again, kind of need the calculator for that thing to work out whether that's going to be... Because the base damage really does affect the crit damage hugely. Like, is that just a change for, like, things like using soldier gear, you know, as opposed to, like, full Zerk? If you've got full Zerk, then probably equates to the same, because if your crit chance multiplier... You know, if your crit chance multiplier is basically at 100, and your actual crit damage... Yeah, if you reduce it by 50%, then it should work out the same. Okay, so... I've spent way too much time on a trait that basically does nothing. Thermal Release Valve. The burning this skill applies in PvE has been increased from 1 stack to 6 for 6 seconds to 2 stacks for 6 seconds. Okay. More burn. Self-regulating defenses. This trait has been renamed Emergency Elixir. I like that. Yeah, it gives you a sense of urgency, yeah. Rather than using Elixir S, it now uses a new skill called Elixir E that grants a barrier. 3,000 barrier. Not small, but like... I actually like this change, because this was like really clunky when you used this. You became untargetable, but you also became... You couldn't hit anything or do anything, so it could like interrupt what you were doing at the time. Whereas this just gives you the sort of feeling of being invulnerable, because you've got this extra, you know, buffer of 3,000. but it allows you to do stuff and protection as well, meaning that this, you know, functionally is worth 3,333. So the threshold that this triggers is now 33% instead of 25, so less burst. You know, you're not going to overcome this by getting burst down as much, so that's good. And that's probably the end of Engineer. I can breathe now. Guardian. Lots of changes here. Okay, so Searing Slash. Ooh. If anyone doesn't know, I absolutely love Firebrand. So any change to Firebrand, and you're gonna make me happy. So where is Searing Slash? Is it in the tome? I feel like it might be in the tome. No. Is it? Oh, come on. All right, save some time. That's why we have this window. Should know this. I play this. Yes. Wait, there's a warrior one as well. Oh, cool. Main hand axe. How did I gloss over that? Ah, there was the auto attack chain. So the burning duration of the skill has been increased from 1 to... We do like changes to auto attacks. We do like changes to auto attacks because they have a big effect on damage. Ooh, I'm liking this so far. Okay, Symbol of Vengeance. This symbol now applies 1.5 seconds of fury each second. Each pulse in addition to its other effects. Number of targets. Both. Ooh, okay. So Symbol of Vengeance. This one. Allies. I mean, why does it say both enemy and allies there? I mean, it gives you a light field. It doesn't actually say anything about allies in that, so I'm confused by that. Anyway, Mantra of Potence, that's this one, which isn't currently used much. Recite a hymn from the Annals of Turai and hasten yourself a bit. Allies. Inspire. Hang on, I've lost my trail of thought here. Potent Haste. The quickness duration. Okay, so you're trying to think about quickness here. I get it, but I don't like it. I don't want to be like quickness dude for my party as a firebrand. I like burning stuff. Stand your ground. 5 targets to 10. You know, we like that because, you know, I can see a use case for having this on one character now in like a raid when you can give stabs to the entire raid party. Tome of Justice has been increased from 30 seconds to... Ooh. Oh, thank God. Just in PvP. Oh, these ones are kind of sad, though. The Tome of Justice, Tome of Resolve, and Tome of Courage. I always thought these cooldowns are actually too high, not too low, because, like, you can barely ever use them. And yeah, they're really strong, and I get why you've done that, but I don't like it. I don't have to like it, ArenaNet. You hear me? Anyway. Courageous Return. This trait no longer fully refreshes the cooldown of Virtue of Courage. Instead, it reduces the cooldown of by 10 seconds for each... Where was Courageous Return? I don't even... This is not something I'm familiar with. Wow. Oh, I did spell it right. Courageous... Valor. Did we ever use Valor? I don't remember using Valor. I know that it exists, but... Here we are. Virtue of Courage is recharged when you revive an ally or rally yourself. Big whoop. So, Glacial Heart. This trait no longer inflicts area upon critically hitting area damage upon critically hitting. Instead, now inflicts a single strike that chills enemies for 2 seconds. Regardless of which the weapon is equipped. Okay, so it used to be with hammer, as I recall. I don't know where it is, but I don't think we need to find it. The base damage of this trait reduced by 50%. It can no longer critically hit. Okay, so it's just a bit worse. Equipping this trait now modifies Mighty Blow into Glacial Blow. Okay. Mighty Blow is the hammer skill. Here, if I'm not mistaken, becomes Glacial Blow, increasing its damage by 17% while chilling enemies for 2. Is this going to be good? I mean, we have to take an entire trait line for it, right? Bother looking into it. Mighty Blow, the cooldown of the skill has been lowered. They want to make the hammer a bit better, it would seem. Zealot's Embrace, yeah, like these. Okay, it does actually say these are all hammer skills, so I don't know why I say. Banish, that's that one. Pull down of the skills from use. So they're making the hammer a bit better. Ring of Warding. Nobody uses the hammer, so it's nice to see some love there. Liberator's Vow. Reduce the internal cooldown of the trait from 8 seconds to 7 seconds. I don't know what this is, but it's such a minor thing there. I'm not going to bother looking it up. Lawmaster. Actually, you know what? I will. Let's be thorough. Let's be thorough here. Liberator. Vow. Adept Major. Okay, so it is a firebrand trait. I should know this. But it's because I'm always using this one. I don't... Okay, so more quickness nonsense. I understand your quickness nonsense. Throw more quickness nonsense at me. It's probably okay. Shattered Aegis. The damage of this trait has been increased by 20% in PvE only. This trait can no longer critically hit. Okay, so that's the trait that when you block something, you damage something. It's a bit useless. I mean, it's not going to do anything. It's not useless, but you know what I mean. That's not going to change anything. Stalwart Speed. The internal cooldown of this trait has been reduced. I imagine that's like equally. Why am I having to keep looking this up? I should know this stuff. When you grant Aegis, it's more quickness. We get it. Unbroken Lines. The cooldown of this skill. I'm gonna PvP only. I'm not gonna look that up. Chapter 1. So this one I remember. The duration of stability that grants skills now 4 seconds. Oh, it's a PvP change. So never mind. Moving on. Mesmer. I have half a mind to skip this section. A friend of mine texted me about these changes before. As part of the reason. I don't even know what to say. Like, watch my last video if you're wondering why I'm despairing right now. But we will look through them because that's why we're here. Axis of Symmetry. So that's the, let's switch over to Mesmer here. That's the thing that actually gives you, that's the skill you get from Mirage Cloaking, right? Just make sure it is in fact. Mirage Cloak. Imaginary axis. No, maybe it's not. Axis. Oh, it's this. I'm stupid. You and all your axe clones shadow step to a random location. So the physical damage of the skill has been split between game modes. Okay, it's reduced. I spend way too much time on it. Lingering thoughts. Oh, the irony. The ammunition recharge time of the skill has been split between game modes. Okay, we don't care about that. Changes in PvP. Tides of Time. Ooh. Strike multiple foes per wave. Well, this just helped me, CC. I get what you're doing, but I don't like it. I'm going to keep saying that throughout this whole bit. Chaos Vortex. The might granted by this skill has been changed from 3 stacks to 8 seconds, 2 stacks to 15 seconds. Okay, well, approximate, equal. You know, it's a little bit worse, but whatever. Jaunt. The number of charges the skill. So Jaunt is the elite, right? Split game modes, we don't care about. Signet of Humility. Defiance bar damage. Oh, yeah, this is one of the changes they made. So this before was like the be-all and end-all of CC. It did like 1,000 to the break bar damage. And it's now being toned down to 600. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. And the cooldown, if I'm not mistaken, has gone up. Is it? Or is it my imagination? I remember someone telling me about that, but I don't know. It doesn't say it. Yeah, there, yeah. So Signet of Inspiration. This is the I don't even know what to say at this point. The active effect of the skill no longer shares Mesmer boons. Okay. Like, why? Why you do this? I'm so done with Chronomancer. This is so frustrating. Instead, it now extends the duration of all allies' current boons by 5 seconds. The thing that I hate about this, in particular, like, you could say it's more thematic or whatever. You're not sharing your boons anymore. It's not affected by boon duration, so it's like a flat 5 seconds. No matter what you do, it's 5 seconds. The other thing is, you don't know what boons are on other people when you use this. You just don't know. You hope that your party is putting out the right things. What if somebody dies, someone goes down, they lose their boons, and then if that happens like the second you're doing this, then I could see this making huge differences, you know, in, you know, maybe even Signet of Inspiration just goes kaputski, like, because it's just not reliable. And it's reliable if everyone's doing the job right and nobody goes down and it's all perfect, you know, then it's reliable. Somebody misses a well, then they don't have quickness. And then when you try and use Signet of Inspiration, I just hate this change and everything about it. And this 5 seconds is the most frustrating thing. Well, that gear you have like that extends boon duration. And then you get a skill that just removes boon duration as part of the equation. It's like ArenaNet. I really dislike this. Moving on before I yell, if I hadn't already. Signet of Midnight. I don't even remember which signet that is. Like, Midnight improves condition duration. Okay, so it's the one used for mirages. 180 expertise at level 80 instead of flat condition duration in order to be consistent with other signet effects. Okay, well, I mean, that's probably okay, right? Because what is it now? It was 10. Oh. I don't know how much that is, but that seems like it's lowered quite a lot. If I had to guess, I'd say 100 expertise is a lot lower than... Let's remove this for a sec. Do a little test. So, we'll put on, like, I don't know, Vipers or something? Wait, that's 30. Let's get, how about an Amulet? That'll Vipers is 71, so that's like about half. That's not half. We can work it out. So yeah, if 71 is 4.7, yeah, that's a significant nerf to the condition duration of Mirages. That change to Signet of Midnight. Okay. Well, I don't know why you thought Mirage needed a nerf. I guess I don't think Arena just likes Mesmers very much at this point. Mimic. Oh my god, here we go again. The skill's recharge time is reduced from 75 seconds to 40 seconds, but now increased the recharge time of the utility skill that it affects. Nice of them to tell us how much by, of course, in these patch notes. Cannot be reset by other Mesmer skills. It just doesn't say... This is a useless patch note! And I'm going to assume that they've basically nerfed it to the point that it doesn't do what they obviously didn't want it to do in the last patch. But moving on, Portal Entry. Yeah, I've seen people complain about this. It's the same in PvE, but it's nerfed for PvP and World vs. World. So I've heard that this is a huge thing for World vs. World in particular. But I don't care. Sorry. I don't play World vs. World. So this is the only important bit to me. Unchanged in PvE. Well of action. The duration of quickness that the final pulse of the skill applied has been increased from 4 seconds to 5 seconds. Okay. More quickness. Presumably to make up for the fact you've just gutted the profession in its entirety. Well of recall. And you're presumably doing the same thing to this one as well. Yep, absolutely same thing. It's casting time is casting time reduced from 1 second to 0.75 seconds. Thank you so much. That will fix everything. Continuum split, fixed a bug, don't care. Bandful disillusionment. This trait now applies boons. What? Wait. Is this what I think it was? Is this... Is... I just... Why? Why would you do this? This trait now only applies boons to Mesmer. Wow, like, oh. So you can't, like, just shatter to get to, like, spread boons and then share them. Like, because there is no sharing anymore. Because the Signet of Inspiration... Well, that was interesting. The Signet of Inspiration only increases boons on your allies. It increases the extends boons, rather. It doesn't put boons on them. Which means you can't even put boons on them with Bountiful Disillusionment. you want people to provide their own boons, and then you want the Mesmer to do, like, to just have this all-knowing knowledge of their entire raid group to know who has the boons they need and the exact moment to cast Signet of Inspiration. Yeah, we'll do that. Lost Time. This trait now delivers... Okay, so this is a... Lost Time is a power chrono trait, right? This trait now delivers its slowing strike when Mesmers disable the target instead of after the Mesmers has built charges. Okay. Nonsense. Just a reorganization. Mirror of Anguish. This trait has been renamed Auspicious Anguish. The Mirror of Anguish, I don't remember where that is exactly. I've almost certainly moused over it already. Oh, maybe it's not in Mirage. Yeah, it's in Chaos. Well, Chaos is dead now anyway, probably. I mean, this is still fairly useful, but Mirror of Anguish causes the skill distortion to instantly recharge when the Mesmer is affected by a control effect. Wow. I mean, for PvE, don't care, but, you know, I've been speaking this whole time how I prefer, I only talk about PvE, but that seems really strong in PvP. It's basically every time, the cooldown of trade 50 seconds. Never mind. Power block. Damage of the skills has been increased by 20%. Okay. I mean, it's an interrupt. It's a bad stun, basically. We don't care. Moving on. Necromancer. Ooh, let's see what goodies they have in store for Necromancer this year. Spectral Wall. This skill has been renamed Spectral Ring. Okay, so it's a ring instead of a wall. Marvelous. We don't care about that. Spectral Walk. This is like the jankiest skill that ever exists. It's the one where you turn into a spectre and then you just like... I don't know. It does. I don't like this skill very much. Into Life Force. Grants Life Force when the Necromancer takes damage. Well, that's not very useful now, is it? Lich Form. 150 seconds. Do we care about that? I mean, Lich Form was, once upon a time, was a thing. Back in ye olden days. You would go into Lich Form and then you would press, like, number 4, I think it was, and then you would go out of Lich Form and it was very useful. But I don't think this is going to change anything. Reaper's Protection. This trait has been renamed Dark Defiance. It now causes the Necromancer to gain protection for 3 seconds when afflicted by control effects. I'd really like to know what they mean by control effects, whether like cripple and chill count, but causes protection, and that is applied to the Necromancer to reduce their incoming condition damage by 20%. So interesting. It makes your protection apply to condition damage as well as regular damage. I can almost guarantee you'll never use it in like competitive PvE anyway, but moving on. Abrasive Gift. The internal cooldown of this trait has been removed. This trait now only activates from the Necromancer skills and traits that apply barrier. So there was this thing where any barrier you gained, you would gain like stacks of might, and this meant that if you had multiple Necromancers in your group, every single time you did this, you gained might. So there were a bunch of like 25 stacked, like 10k stacked barriered Necromancers running around World vs. World. Like the perma 25 might was pretty silly. So good change, Anet. You made one finally. Good job. Chill of Death. The damage to this trait has been increased by 20% in PvE and will no longer be able to critically hit foes. The damage displayed in the tooltip has been fixed in... Okay, so we don't care about that. Damage to this trait. Chill of Death. Is that a Reaper thing? Is that here? Deathly Chill? No. Looks like another one for the wiki, folks. It's a Spite Master Major trait. Do we even use Spite? I feel like we don't use Spite. We do use Spite. What am I saying? And I really can't seem to look in the right place. So casting Spinal Shivers when the health is below the threshold. 20% more. Okay. Marvelous. Chilling Nova. The damage of this trait has been increased by 25% in PvE and will no longer be able to critically hit foes in all game modes. Okay. That's oh, in all game. I see what it means. That was a weird turn of phrase, but yeah. Okay, so it doesn't crit. So it's again useless. Death Nova. The time between Jagged Horror summons has been reduced from 15 seconds to 3. Yeah, okay. I always liked the death line. Wait, Death Nova's... I'm getting confused with Guild Wars 1 here, because it was a skill in Guild Wars 1, right? But it's not a skill in Guild Wars 2. Yeah, it's a trait. Sneaky, sneaky Guild Wars. There we go. When you or one of your minions are down, create a lesser poison cloud. Okay. Ooh, reduced from 15 seconds to 3 seconds. Oh, please tell me we have some sort of minion bomber going on here. Because that could be a lot of fun. They've actually had to put a cap on the Jagged Horrors because of it. Could this actually be like Condi build viable? Oh, I hope. That would be so cool to like be a little minion bomber. Anyway, Fear of Death. Fear duration bonus for this trait has been increased to 100%. So okay. No longer causes fear when the Necromancer is in a down state. Instead, it now grants 15% life force upon inflicting foe with fear. Okay, so it's kind of a PvP thing because you don't really use fear in PvE because it just messes everything up. Gluttony. This trait the might this trait grants has been removed, and now it increases the amount of life force gained from all sources instead of just skills. Okay, more life force, more good. Necromancer Corruption fixed a bug in which minions took conditions from allies other than the Necromancer. Okay. Last Gasp. This trait has been replaced with Sinister Shroud. Okay, well, let's find Last Gasp first. Let's learn how to type first. So it was a soul reaping, excuse me. Soul reaping. No edits, no retakes. Soul reaping. Tier master type minor. Okay, so soul reaping was Last Gasp. Gain lesser spectral armor when your health falls below the threshold. Been replaced with Sinister Shroud, which here this trait reduces recharge of Shroud skills by 15%. Okay, that's not terrible. Actually, you know, that could have really far-reaching consequences. It's a minor trait, so you only have to have Soul Reaping, and you pretty much have Soul Reaping anyway because of this trait here. Gaining critical chance and ferocity when in Shroud. So this could have far-reaching consequences. It legitimately could. One way or another, it is going to boost Power Reaper's damage. The question is whether it makes it relevant or not. I predict probably not, but we'll see. Soul Barbs. This trait has been replaced with Spectral Mastery in the Master tier. Has replaced Spectral Mastery in the Mastery tier. It grants 10% damage increase to all attacks for 10 seconds whenever Necromancers enter or exit. Holy cow! Wait. Holy cow! This trait has replaced Spectral. Oh, so like, is this the one patch where Necro comes out ahead? Is this the patch, folks? Mark the date. It's what is it? It was the 11th. I'm doing this the day after. It was the 11th. The 11th of December. Spectral Mastery. So 10% increase to all 10 seconds. That's massive. Means all your attacks in. This is huge. This is a huge change. Right, so if this, I don't remember where the other one was, but it's literally right above it. But if this thing was just like slightly changing things, this enormously changes the power of a Power Reaper. Oh, please tell me it's a thing now. Please tell me. It's on about 27k now, so it needs about 7k to be relevant. Oh, please do it. Please do it. I don't think... it's probably not enough. Or is it? Maybe? I don't know. Imagine how many, like, Gravediggers you could fit in that 10% bonus. You know, that really could, actually. That could be big. Spectral Mastery. This trait has been... okay, yeah, we just been over that. Spiteful Spirits. The damage to this trait has been increased by 25% in PvE. It will no longer be able to critically hit foes in all game modes. Spiteful Spirit. Where was that? It's been so long since I've looked at like Reaper. So it's a Grandmaster in Spite. Strike around you when entering Shroud. The thing is though, you can't get rid of Close to Death. Yeah, you can't get rid of Close to Death. Strength of Undeath. This trait has been renamed Soul Battery. Soul Battery. I don't know why that made me laugh, it just did. Its bonus damage has been removed while the Necromancer is above life force threshold. The maximum life force has been increased from 15% to 20%. Strength of Undeath. I'm just going to assume... No. Again, I don't know where it is. Strength of Undeath, Soul Reaping. The last trait I look at. Maximum life force is increased. Deal more damage when above the life force threshold. Oh, his bonus damage has been removed. Oh, come on. Why would you give more damage to one trait and then remove it from another? Oh, balance, I suppose you call that. Well, you know what? Then Power Necromancer, it needs buffs. Why would you buff it and nerf it in the same patch? Like, you're going to be taking the Soul Reaping line. That's just... Like, what are they thinking with these two changes? Well, I mean, this one... And... I don't know where the other one is, but you know the one I'm talking about. Terror. Fix the bug. Okay. Vital Persistence. The trait no longer reduces recharge time of Shroud skills. Instead, it increases all incoming healing by... Oh, we don't care about healing. Who cares about healing? Stay alive, you noob. Weaken Shroud. The damage to this trait has been increased by 20% in PvE. No... Excuse me. Will no longer be able to critically hit foes in all game modes. So, Weakening Shroud. Don't care. More damage. Don't care. Can't crit. That's almost certainly going to be a nerf. So, buff, 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 buff. Nerf, nerf, nerf. Perfect. Ranger. Ranger. I do like a good Ranger. Right. Call of the Wild. Straight away. It's just dive right in here. The skill's Fury duration has been split between game modes. I will now use a 6-second duration. PvP, don't care. Bear stance, Moa stance, Dolyak stance, Griffin stance. All the stances are changing. So let's put on the Soul Beast. Let's put on the Soul Beast. And all of the stances. Dolyak. Griffin. Moa. And, okay, so there's 4 of them. So it hasn't changed the One Wolf Pack stance. Okay. I can live with that. I can live with that. So, Bear Stance. The skill will now attempt to consume a condition before it heals. Like a bunch of the other changes, they want the condition removal to be instant. Moa Stance. The cooldown of this skill has been increased from 25 to... And PvP only, we don't care. Let me just check. This one isn't PvP only. No, this skill no longer applies Retaliation. Instead, it now reduces incoming condition damage and physical damage by 33... Ooh. So this, it breaks stun, important, because these stances are like apply to, because of that trait, they apply to your team as well. So this is like giving extra protection, because it's a separate effect. It's not using protection, the 33% reduction. It's using a separate reduce incoming. So potentially for stages with protection, you could do 66% and 33% less condition damage. That is a really strong defensive skill now. Like, ridiculously strong defensive skill. I don't know where they're going with this, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it, and I'm always going to like buffs, so that's probably no surprise. Griffin stance. This skill is no longer instant and now evades for 1 second in addition to its current effects. No longer instant? Okay, so you have to cast it. Okay, you just make this one enormously strong. And this one, like, pathetic. so these changes are so inconsistent. They're so inconsistent. This is ridiculously strong. And this is like... It's like, meh. Like, you get 1 second evade? And you can't instant cast it now, which means you have to dedicate time to actually casting it. It only gives 2 stacks of might. I guess you gain... I guess the team does get evade for 1 second. So it's like a mini distort. But does it work like distort? Will it... Is this now the new distort? So maybe that is actually a strong effect. Because I was reading that as it only evades on you, but of course it evades for everyone. So... Huh. This could be the new distort. I like it. I actually do like it. Never mind. The jury will disregard Mike's previous statements. Spirit skills. Fixed a bug. Don't care about bug fixes. Frost Spirit. Spirit of Frost. The changes, ArenaNet. The changes. The name has been changed to Spirit of Frost. Mind blown. Mind completely blown. Ambidexterity. Fixed a bug. Don't care. Nature's Vengeance. This trait no longer increases spirit health. Individual spirit bonuses have been updated as follows. Okay, so spirits could be like cleaved down fairly easily now. That's a bad change. Or can they? Do they still have that 90%? Oh, we don't care anyway, because these things are all a bit crap. Excuse my French. Yeah, they're all a bit crap. Yeah, glossing over that. Soften the fall. Fix the bug. Don't care. Wildless knowledge. Wilderness knowledge, rather, not wildless knowledge. Duration of fury that this trait has been split between game modes. Okay, so we don't care about that. Winter's Bite. The duration of weakness that the skill has been split between game modes. It now inflicts 4 seconds of weakness in PvP. Okay. Don't care about PvP. But hang on, that means we're done with Ranger. Revenant. Full disclosure, I know basically nothing about I can't even say the name right. It's a Revenant. And all of its things. All I know is that Renegade, not even Renegade, I've done it again, I've called the thing the wrong thing. What is it even called? The Herald, beg your pardon, has been getting a little bit stronger in the power damage bracket every patch. So I'm curious to know how they come to that, but this will involve a lot of wikiing. This I would imagine. Shackling Wave. Cast animation increased from. Okay, so that's a slight nerf. I believe I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna Google it. Well, I'll wiki it rather. Shackling Wave. Offhand sword. Okay, so did we ever use offhand sword? I don't think we did. We tended to use... Okay, it's just a slight nerf to that skill. Forced engagement. This skill's taunt and slow duration has been increased from 2 seconds to 4 seconds in PvE only. Okay, so more CC from forced engagement. Not bad. Soothing Stone. The skill now removes conditions before it heals. Yes, that's... Of course you can't pick a healing skill because you have to pick a thing. This thing? No. That's a tablet, it's not a stone, Mike. Soothing Stone. So it's the legendary dwarf heal. Of course it is. Of course it is. Of course. Now removes condition. Oh, why didn't I just read it before I looked it up? It's just this constant change they're making in this patch. It's about changing conditions to happen first, so that it's an instant response when people press the heal key that condition gets removed, as opposed to when it's actually healing. Burst of Strength. The cooldown of the skill has been reduced from 15 to 12 seconds in PvE only. Burst of Strength again. I may as well just leave the wiki page open, to be honest. Right, so it's in Herald. It's a utility skill. Oh, right. Oh, yeah. It's when you spam, when you actually use the skill, right? Oh, I have to have it equipped, don't I? Okay, so now we have Herald available. And we switch to Herald. Wow, that was a long process. And it's this thing, right? Burst of Strength. Consume the facet of Strength. Okay, so it does more damage. More damage. As I said, it's been creeping up there. Been creeping. Elemental Blast. Now, is that one of the other ones? Is this going to save me some time? Yeah, it is. Consume the facet of Strength. Yeah, okay, so they've worked on the active skills a bit, you know? The passive ones, we all like those. We all know and love this. We get some nice boons here. But we are doing something to the active skills, which I always felt were a bit lackluster anyway, so that's kind of cool. Facet of Nature, Assassin. The power multiplier for this skill has been increased by 100%, and its base multiplier has been increased by 35%. So the Facet of Nature is when you have this thing active in a certain legend. So if we put it onto Shiro, we didn't actually have to do that, but grant allies the ability to steal life with their strikes is the Assassin one. So I wonder how good that is. Base multiplier 35%, and the power multiplier has been increased by 100%. More lifesteal? More lifesteal equals more good. Does it not? I think it does. I think that maths adds up. Facet of Nature, Centaur. Okay, so we like healing as well. We like healing. Always like the heals. So on you heal nearby allies every few seconds. That's what that is. Been saying it for the past 4 seconds. This skill's base healing per pulse has been increased from 272 to 471 at level 80, and its healing power contribution is 363%. Holy cow, Batman. They really want, I mean, that is massive. Like 471 as like a tick per second for having this active. If I'm not mistaken, that's actually more than you get from like having the tablet up, right? Yeah, the tablet does 325. Well, anyway, that's good. This good. And good equals good, as we learned previously. True Nature. The following changes have been made to the skill. Legendary Assassin Stance. When removing boons, True Nature now delivers an attack that cannot be blocked, rather than an attack that is completely unavoidable. Legendary. Okay, just True Nature is the spamming thing, right? So cleanse condition from nearby allies is what it currently does. Okay, yeah. So when you're on a different thing, it just doesn't display the whole tooltip like it does with this one. So when you're on the Assassin Stance, it can't be blocked. So those boons will be removed, whether you like it or not. Centaur Stance now heals for each condition that is removed. Well, that's a nice change. So when you end this thing, after using its really strong passive, you'll get a nice little boost from the amount of conditions you have. So I like that. Up to a maximum of 970. Yeah, I'd prefer if they didn't cap it, but it's fine. And Demon Stance, let's check that. Actually select it. Transfer conditions. It grants 5-second might. I guess you get a bit of might from it. It's okay, I guess. Draconic Field Echo. I said that completely wrong. Draconic Echo, fixed a bug. Don't care about bugs. Dwarven Battle Training. Dwarven Battle Training. We all need a bit of Dwarven Battle Training. He says, filling in the silence while he switches the skills over. Wrong. To the wrong skill. I've selected it again. Dwarven battle training, you say? Wait. Is it? It's not even a skill. Right, I've wasted so much time on this one. It's going to be completely useless. I can feel it. Let's find it. Dwarven battle training. Chance to hit. Chance on hit to apply weakness to your foe. Incoming weakness applied to foes has decreased effectiveness. Okay, so yep. Yep, I was right. Completely useless. Eye for an eye. This trait now grants protection when the Revenant is affected by a control effect. Again, I really want to know what this means, but grants 5 stacks of might for 10 seconds when you break a stun. Not really important. The protection aspect of this trait has a cooldown. No big changes there. Improved aggression. This trait has been renamed Spiritual Reckoning and is now 3 seconds of retail when Revenants use their elite skill. Really? That's 3 seconds? That's really bad. Moving on. Spontaneous Destruction. The damage of this trait has been increased by about 33%, and it's no longer able to crit. Okay, so they added a bit of damage and then nerfed the crit. Not good. Steadfast Rejuvenation. This trait now regenerates health every second upon upkeep. The Revenant. Wait. Let me rewind a second. Steadfast Rejuvenation. This trait now regenerates health every second for each point of upkeep the Revenant is maintaining. Now, this could also be quite interesting. If I knew where that was. But Steadfast Rejuvenation. It's a Revenant. It's Grandmaster and Retribution. This trait now regenerates health each second for each point of upkeep the Revenant is maintaining. So that doesn't just work in Dwarf mode, right? That would work, if you had this, it would work in every mode, right? Chance when struck to heal yourself. It now regenerates health for every point of upkeep. So self-healing. Very good for hand-kiting, I would imagine. I think it uses Retribution, the hand-kiting build, for Deimos. I think this is quite nice. I like this. But I've spent way too long on this, so moving on. Thief. On to Thief. The profession that's been sitting at the top of the PvE charts for a while now. Consume Plasma. This skill has been split between game modes. We don't care about splits. Cluster Bomb. Cluster Bomb. The projectile speed of skill has been increased by 50%. We've got short bow buffs here. We've got short bow buffs here. Nobody cares. See? Death's Judgment. This skill can now be blocked. Okay. I mean, PvP change, obviously. Lotus Strike. The number of poison stacks this skill grants has been increased from 1 to 2. Okay. And its duration has been... but only enough by 1 second, but more stacks. That is actually, generally speaking, good. And if I'm not mistaken, Lotus Strike is here, right? So this is a buff to Condi Thief, which, if I was gonna like reinvest in Thief, it would be for a Condi build. So I kind of like that. I like that change. Vault. The damage of this attack will no longer occur if the Thief shadow steps off. Ah, but that was fun. You could like vault. So what that was, we have to put on Daredevil. You could cast Vault and then like shadow step to something using Steel. And Vault is the... Oh, did I actually select the... Yeah. Oh, no, I did select the right thing. Oh, Staff. So Vault is this thing here, and it leaps you from location to location. And you could use it with a shadow step and still get the damage. I kind of liked that. I don't know why you would remove that as well. It's not like it was unbalanced or anything. Hidden Shadows. The skill description has been updated. Okay, skill description updated. Withdraw. Withdraw. That's this heal. The skill's description has been updated to clarify that it removes conditions before it performs its other functions. So the whole change this patch. Everything's going through ankle shots. Baseline 5% damage to cripple enemies, and an additional 5% if the thief is wielding a pistol. The chance to cripple a foe upon landing critical hit with a pistol is now 100%. So you constantly cripple now with pistols. Interesting for PvP. Not really sure how this would fit particularly into PvE. So moving on. Dagger training. No longer grants an additional 5% damage when wielding a dagger. Instead, it now grants a baseline of power of 80. Holy nerf, Batman. 5% to 80 power? That's pretty... 160 power, I guess. I still think this is quite a considerable nerf to... See how the maths works out, but I feel like that's a nerf. Yeah, one of those sounds. Just take your pick. Lead attacks. The duration of this trait's lead attacks stacking effects has been reduced from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. It now requires a player to be in combat in order to generate. Okay. So lead attacks, I feel like that was a trickery thing, but I don't actually know. And I'm gonna... Oh no, I did find it. Increase the damage and condition based on per initiative spent. Right, yeah, so... I guess this is like stopping people from using their initiative before the combat. In PvP, maybe? It now requires players to be in combat. Yeah. Reduced from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. Okay, so just nerf. Generic nerf incoming. Malicious Restoration. The skill now transfers conditions before it heals. Another one of those things. Silent Scope. This trait now no longer grants an additional 20% chance to critically hit with... Okay, so the rifle build that was in the last patch was absolutely insane in terms of damage. Like, it was a clear, like, 4K ahead of everything else. So... it had to be, like, on a stationary target, though, so it was really niche, and it was way overpowered, so... Yeah, probably good change. Staffmaster. This trait now grants 5% damage when endurance is not full, which will increase to 10% when you... Okay, so Staffmaster was this one here. While wielding a staff, gain endurance for each initiative point spent. Deal bonus damage when your endurance is not full while wielding a staff. Okay, so you still get... Basically, this is saying that you can... Get 5% on any weapon when your endurance is not full. And I really hope this doesn't mean we're going to end up, like, dodging on daggers. Oh, of course it doesn't. It's a Daredevil trait. What am I saying? Which increases 10% to wielding a staff, so it's back to where it was pre-patch. Swindler's Equilibrium. The cooldown of this trait has been reduced from 20%. Wow. More and more, like... tripping over my tongue the more I go on this. Swindler's Equilibrium. The cooldown of this trait has been reduced from 20 seconds, 30 seconds in competitive game modes, to 10 seconds in all game modes. Okay, so it now reduces the cooldown of steel by 50%, 25% in competitive game modes, instead of 100%. This trait no longer increases damage by a percentage, and instead... right, so they're removing the percentage, and instead granting you this 120 power... or 240 if you're wielding a sword, which, yeah, nobody's gonna wield a sword. Let's be honest. Nobody likes swords. Nobody likes swords. Warrior. And finally, we have Warrior. Full counter. The damage applied by this skill in competitive game modes has been reduced from 75% of PvE to 25% of PvE. What a weird way to phrase that. The damage applied by this skill in competitive game modes has been reduced from 75% of PvE to 25% of PvE. I mean, I could say it again, but it wouldn't make much more sense. I feel like they just put this through like an anagram thing and it just came out with this. I think what they're trying to say is that it's less. Moving on. Mending. The skill description has been updated to clarify it removes... Yeah. So that's the change that they're making across the patches this time. Scorched Earth. The burning duration of this skill has been reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. So Scorched Earth, if I'm not mistaken, is the Berserker. Let me just make sure I am right about this. Yeah, it's this thing. Fire a burning shot into the ground that creates... So, the Burninator, the Warrior Burner, has been quite high up for a while. This is a considerable nerf right here, even though it's just 1 second. Because, like, spamming this skill is a massive part of why that profession has stayed so high up in the damage charts for a long time. I wonder how that's going to compare to the sword. The sword Flaming Fury, Flurry, Flaming Fury, Flaming Flurry, and just regular Flurry now in terms of damage, because that could be tricksy. Anyway, Axe Mastery. Demand Ferocity that increases while wielding an axe has been reduced from maximum. Really? From a maximum of 300 to a maximum of 120, and the warriors can now gain up to 120 ferocity for each axe that they are Oh. Okay, so actual buff. Never make your mind up in the middle of a sentence, because that's what happens. So, anything that's been reduced from 300 to a maximum of 120, but then they can get 120 per axe as well. So they actually get 240, 360 total. So it's an extra 60 power from max axe. I like it. I like it. Blade Master. The condition duration increases... The condition duration increase this trait grants for sword skills has been replaced with an increase to up to 120 condition damage while wielding a sword. So that amplifies my wondering about, how good Flaming Flurry is now compared to Scorched Earth, because this will give you extra condition damage as well. Oh no, beg your pardon. Again, just read the thing, Mike. Just read it. It now grants up to 120 expertise, regardless of the warrior. So the weapon the warrior's wielding. So that's fine. Never mind. Moving on. Forceful Greatsword. Oh, we all love this trait from the good old days, don't we? No longer increases the Greatsword and spear damage by 10%. It now grants 120 power at level 80 and an additional 120 power if the warrior is wielding a Greatsword or spear. So... I love how they haven't changed the name of it. They just still call it Forceful Greatsword. But, yeah, it's one of these ones, right? Yeah, here. So, currently on an axe build, they actually pick Great Fortitude here, because there's no good options in this thing, and you kind of need it for Berserker's power, as I recall. I'm not entirely sure, actually, of the traits here, but this might mean Forceful Greatsword on the axe build... You can get that 120 power, and it's actually useful. Maybe, who knows? And I might be misremembering the traits there. Maybe it's not even strength isn't even one of them. I can't remember. Heat the Soul. The amount of condition damage that increases while wielding a torch has been reduced from a maximum of 150 to a maximum of 120. Okay, that's sad. So with this sword here, you always used a torch, right? Warriors now gain. I've done it again. Stopped reading in the middle of the sentence. Warriors now gain 120 condition damage, regardless of the weapon they are wielding. But it has been decreased. So, been decreased, but actually that kind of buffs the short bow. The long bow, rather, because now you're going to get that Heat the Soul bonus on both weapons. So, Magebane Tether. Right, so that, now we are on Spellbreaker, finally. Magebane Tether, I do remember, is here. Hitting with a burst skill, cast Magebane Tether on your target, and it gives you might and damage bonus. So what have they done to it? Duration of might, this trait has been split. Okay. Merciless Hammer. This part of the trait... The part of the trait that inflicts confusion has been removed. Hammer skills now inflict increased damage on disabled targets. Okay, well, we don't really care about Hammer, and it's never going to be good enough, so... Bloodlust. The base bleeding duration has been reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. What's Bloodlust? I don't remember. Let's end on a high note, huh? Some more wikiing. A Grandmaster in arms. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you use this on Berserker, but not... Yeah. Okay, let me find the actual trait. No, Bloodlust it's called. Bloodlust, it's a minor. You have a chance to inflict bleeding on critical hits and bleeds... Ooh. Wait. Yeah, that's not good. That's not great. So... I don't know how I feel about that, man. That's a nerf, but does Berserker need a nerf? It's been quite high up there for a while. You know, the non-sort of banner version. But then you nerf the non-banner version, and the banner version then becomes like, you know, considerably worse. And it relies on traits like this, you know. It relies on traits that give base bleeding duration and just proc random bleeds when you don't use skills, because, you know, your skills are filled up with banners instead. So, not sure how I feel about that. Let's see how the maths works out. But yeah, I think that's Warrior. And that, folks, is all she wrote, you know. The fat lady sung. We've run out of sandwiches, you know, whatever you want to say it. So all that's left to say is Merry Christmas, first of all, and thanks for watching. Tell a friend.